I hope my microphone was in the right place, but is this going to work now? Oh my gosh, I have been fighting with this thing for the last 10 minutes to try, and yeah, I want to turn off the broadcast alert because we're hopefully not experiencing any more technical difficulties, but we'll see how that goes. So hello, hi, welcome to, it's November, welcome to the Once Upon a Time recap of episode 6 of season 5, I should say. And yeah, we're having a little bit of issue with keeping everything going. It's not happy. So let's hope we get to get the way through, because I'm hoping that this is not long of a recap episode, because I do not feel I don't feel like Porky Pig. I'm not feeling the greatest in the hoodie and don't really look that great. So hopefully this is not going to be too long, and I'm not seeing any comments, so I'm not expecting this to go ahead and recap. Let's start at the beginning. It's a very good place to start. So if we start up in the beginning of the episode, we have the dungeons, and when Charming that Merida just now has 7 years of bad luck for breaking the mirror in the O in the title card. Because I was looking at the title card like there's nothing special about the title card today. What's going on? And then I find the mirror is broken. So we are going through and we're talking about Regina is filling everybody in on Emma's little house call the night before to try and see Henry. And they're talking about the Dark One and how she's not the same person as she was before, and we should figure out a way to stop everything. And then about how, or no, they're trying to find a way to talk to Merlin so they can they can figure out how to stop Emma and figure out her plan. I'm sorry, I'm not feeling the greatest today, so my memory is a little bit shot. And I noticed I liked the little notes about how like Belle has always seen the best in Rumpelstiltskin, no matter what, and that's a good thing, especially if you're in love with the person. But you also need to acknowledge that they have not always been the best person. And I think that this episode did a lot to kind of further that along. Like it even mentioned later on, I'm getting way ahead of myself, how Merida was saying, you have to get back to the man you love, and she's like, I don't know if I love him, which, to be fair, that's a good place for Belle to be in, because it's been a long couple of seasons for her. So if she's just like, I care about this guy, I don't know if I love him, that's a good place for her to be in, because they had something and maybe they can rebuild it, and it would be great if they could. And I think now at the end of this episode, they did a lot to get them to a place where they can rebuild it to be a healthier relationship. Definitely, you guys know that I had some issues with the way that Rumbelle is going. So there's a lot going on with Belle just kind of blindly defending Rumple and saying that Emma was seduced by the darkness and killing has his little head flag. He sacrifices the tea, kind of awkwardly making out with it a little bit. To be able to cut through his bonds and escape somehow. And for the longest time for this episode, I thought that was not Rumble. I thought apparently it's true. So yeah, he was very clever and was able to cut himself free and get going. Hello, okay, I see some comments popping in now. Hi everybody. So we flash back to the past and between Bella and Merida, and then Merida just smashes. Personally, I would like to know how. Oh, I'm sorry, the connection is really bad. I was having a lot of technical difficulties today. I don't really know what I can do to fix it. Come on. Yeah, it's been a very technically difficult day, and oh my gosh, is this not even catching? Okay, it's catching. It was just frozen in a weird spot. Yeah, it has been a day with technology. Maybe if I move my little Wi-Fi thing. My internal Wi-Fi is broken in my laptop, so I have this thing connected to it, and that might be some of the issue, but I don't know. So let's see if that helps, because it's closer to the router-ish, kind of. I don't know. It's bad. My whole connection today has just been awful, and it's a bad time for it. Words, let me find things. I'm clicking around a lot. Yeah, the lag is super bad today. I have no idea how to fix it. I was delayed by a couple of minutes to even get this going. Current frame rate is too high. I don't know how to change the frame rate. Why tell me how to change the frame rate, and I'll do that, but I don't know how to do that. Controls, that's not going to do anything. Yeah, I can't. I'm sorry, the lag is super awful. I don't know how to change anything. Let me do if I can. What's this? I only have the webcam. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. No, I don't want to screen share because that's a bad plan. It's bad time for everybody. Maybe. Nope, that's going to turn everything off. I don't want to do that. Okay, I can't fix it. I don't know how to fix it. Google is very not helpful. We're not receiving video data at a fast enough rate. I don't know how to change it, though. How do I fix it? It's not. My internet connection is just really terrible. Hopefully this works. Audio stream. Okay, this is the best that I can do. All right. Yeah, it's been a bad day for technology. Yeah, it's bad. Okay, so hopefully this fixes things. All right, where was I? Oh, Merida smashed Belle over the head with a rock. What I want to know is how Merida got Belle to this lake, Lake Dunbroch, Dun Scottish. She just got her there really quickly. So, like, how close is Camelot to, or the forest near Camelot to everything? Like, because now I'm just really confused how this happened. Just she popped in, and I do like that Belle was just like, you could have just asked me instead of kidnapping me, and Merida just totally owned up to the fact that she's like, no, I hit first and ask questions later. Like, okay, at least you're self-aware, and I can give you props for that. So then we go back to the present, and Belle's trying to figure out where she would have, or well, where Merida would, or Emma rather, would have been keeping Rumple, and that's when we find Rumple's in the library. And the way that Belle was looking at him, and I think I understand it a little bit more now, like since we've seen the whole episode, I think I get that because she's still so unsure of where they stand. Like, I feel like she just is kind of like, he's being very grateful to her, and he's being, he's being way more like Rumple as the Dark One was very he was very good to her, like in a way, like in his own way, he was very good to her, and he was very complimentary of her. But like this was very showering of affection over her, and she was just kind of like thrown off by it, because this is even a lot for him. So I think because of that, and because of her own unsure feelings about it, and how she, literally just broke up with Will, and she was like, all this stuff happened, and he almost died, and now they're back and there's no memories, and they're just like, I have no idea what's happening. She's like very conflicted inside, and she's like, I just don't know how to feel about this, and now you're being like super acting like I was very loyal to you the whole time, and I wasn't, and I don't understand how to do, like, she was very confused, and I think that's what made me go, this isn't actually Rumple, and Belle knows it. So I think there was just a lot of Emily's acting choices just made me really go, that's are you sure that's Rumple? I don't know. So hopefully that's it was just an acting choice on Emily's part. Excuse me. Yeah, maybe she did teleport a lot with those magic stones. It's been a long time. I think I saw Brave in the theater, and that's it. I don't think I've seen it since it's been out on DVD or Blu-ray or however you view movies these days, because I'm really hip with the kids. Yeah, so maybe there was a magic stone that she did it just because, but it was just like very convenient otherwise that Merida was just like, hey, we're by the lock that my family is named for, and I'm just gonna take you by boat back this way. Like, it was just, otherwise I was just like, it was a little too convenient for me, but whatevs. I did love, yes, Belle's cloak. I loved that flowery cloak. It was very great. I love capes and robes in general. Like, that's why I really like fantasy, is just because like you get to have these capes, you get to have, like, for one, it's warm, and I hate being cold, as you can, like, it's 50 degrees outside, but I am bundled up right now. I'm also not feeling the best, so my tolerance for cold is also dropped a lot. But I'm like in this hoodie, and I'm like, man, I really like being warm. But then like you have what Belle has, where she has like this cute little bow around her neck, and she's got this robe, and it's got plenty of arm movement. She can move her arms around, and it's very symbolic with all the roses and everything, because we have to be reminded of who's who, just through their clothing choices. So I really liked that. Belle's outfit really was gorgeous. Though, I'm not opposed to seeing some Scottish Highlanders in all of their kilted glory. I can't really frown upon that. So best female outfit goes to Belle's cloak. Best male goes to all of the Scottish Highlanders in all of their Scottish kilted glory, because I am a red-blooded American woman. All right, so yeah, I don't blame you for being obsessed with Brave. I liked it. I really did. I really appreciated it when it came out. I just have not seen it since it came out. And I think having it being a little bit removed helped me a bit in this episode, particularly since now I'm actually at that part, I can talk about it. I'm trying to figure out like how long it's been since the movie ended, because those boys are not boys anymore. Those are men, because they're way taller than Merida is. I was going to say Amy, and I'm like, well, I mean, they are taller than Amy, but I'm trying to speak in character here. So it's gotta have been like, I think the triplets were like 4, maybe 5 in the movie, because they were very young. So it's gotta have been like 10, maybe 15 years. Let's see if I think they try to like make everybody around the same age as Emma. So if Merida was about 16 in that movie, so yeah, it's probably been maybe between 10 and 15 years since the movie ended. I'll give him to that. So yeah, because those triplets are definitely, like, when they showed them just in this cloud of smoke, I was like, those are not teenage boy faces. That is, we have reached maturity faces, because like those are very defined dude faces. Those are not boy faces. Those are dude faces. And those very shaggy, bright copper red curls, I'm pretty sure those are wigs, but if they're not, that is some red hair, man. So yeah, so that's what Belle and Merida discover when they break into the witch's cabin, because just breaking into witches' cabins always works out for the best for everybody. I'm very surprised that nothing came of that. So yeah, I'm just double checking really quickly on just checking notifications. That's not to do with this. So yeah. Okay, back to this. So we kind of then go back to Storybrooke, and we have really awkward Zelena very awkwardly reading this what to expect when you're expecting book, and she's talking to her unborn child and calling it a little munchkin, and I'm just like, okay, I like the whole it just made me really uncomfortable. Because again, I don't think that there's kicking yet. I don't know. The timeline in this show, I really don't know. But I'm pretty sure you're still not feeling any kicks, Zelena. But you might feel something at this point, but definitely not like for sure. You'd think it was gas or something. Yeah, so awkward Zelena and the awkward pregnancy, and then we have Nurse Ratchet coming in with all this broccoli, and I think it was like a kale smoothie or something like that, just being like, hey, here's your food, specially ordered by the mayor, and Zelena's just like, I'd rather starve, leave me to my prison. Yeah, so then we have Emma and Zelena in this really weird scene that I think might have just been like meeting Bex's contract that she has to be in so many episodes to be considered a regular, I guess, because I didn't really get much out of this scene other than okay, there was with the whole scene between the scenes rather, I should say multiple, with Emma and Zelena, like it did establish a good thing in that Zelena is definitely the poster child for how not to raise your child, or how not for a mother to not deal with her children because they turn out to be the Wicked Witch of the West. So like there's that, and I'd like to have her kind of dig into Emma like that, and for it to be established that like Zelena's like, I am totally fine being by myself. Like you guys think you're punishing me by locking me in this hospital, but like I'm fine. I am not bothered by this. However, Emma is not. Emma needs, at least Emma doesn't need people, but she needs her family. So yeah. So I really that was a good establishing thing just for Emma, just to kind of like dig into Dark Emma a little bit, and to say for her to tell Zelena like, you like it kind of went good both ways, like Zelena saying I'm fine by myself, you're not, and for Emma to be like, if you keep doing this, you are definitely not going to be fine by yourself because you're making enemies quick. You're making more enemies even quicker than you did before. So like I get that, but I was just like, a lot of this episode I was waiting for something to happen. And this was one of those scenes where I was like, I'm waiting for something to happen. Yeah, so quickly scrolling through comments because I was focusing a lot on not comments. Yeah, how far? Yeah, I'm gonna guess about 15 years, like just because it seems to be enough time for those boys who did not look like that in the movie to grow up. And I did appreciate that they were still mute because like they didn't have much of a personality other than troublemaking small children in the movie. So like it made sense for them to be silent because they don't have a personality. Yeah, I think Zelena, at this point, I honestly don't know because we had like she was like May at most like 6 weeks along or so, like a month to 6 weeks in at the beginning or whenever they came back in 4B, and now there's another 6 weeks. So yes, I'm still like whatever, like at most 3 months I'm gonna say. So like definitely not feeling anything kicking yet. Sorry. Yeah, she's definitely feeling some gas. Oh yeah, Emma had something with the wand. So oh, awkward relief that Regina is controlling Zelina's diet, giving the heebie-jeebies. Yeah. I didn't really give that too much of a thought just because I figured, well, she's living in a hospital and hospitals are kind of required to give you a certain amount of nutrients every single day to make sure that you're maintaining a healthy weight. That's why they do like tube feeding and everything if you are unable to feed yourself, and like nutrients through your IVs and everything. So like they were going to give her nutritious food anyway, but I think because like the eventual plan is to somehow just get rid of Zelina and have Regina adopt the baby, because that's Regina adopts babies. That's what she does. She's just kind of making sure that this niece or nephew slash stepson, stepdaughter, really more awkward family relations in this show is very healthy. And yeah, it is really kind of awkward for that to happen. Just because it's like, okay, but the hospital would also take care of that Regina because that's how hospitals work. So like, yeah, Delaney, you've heard my Zelina rants multiple times. If you've even seen one episode of my recaps, yeah, no. Yeah, I don't know why she needs her to use the wand though. I don't know if that was mentioned, and if it was, I wasn't paying any attention. Sorry. um, so yeah. Let's see what. Okay, so yeah, I don't know what the wand was for. And oh, so then we go back to Belle is trying to convince Rumple that he's a hero. There's this conversation that's just not going anywhere because Rumple's just like, no, 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 this isn't how it works. And Belle's like, yeah, it is, because I believe in you and that's how this works. And he's just like, no. This is before they ran down to the shop. So they're still in the library, and it's just a fruitless conversation basically because nothing changes. And then later they run to the shop. And then we flash back to the Enchanted Forest, and Merida is just shooting arrows through a log like a boss. And she's just gonna become she's getting Belle to make a potion where she's gonna turn Merida into a bear for reasons. Okay. That just happens, I guess. And then we go back to the like I don't really have anything to touch on there except like Merida's just super pissed about everything, and not giving any answers other than make me this potion so I can become a bear. And we go back to Storybrooke, and the Scooby Gang is hanging out in Regina's vault, and they're making their own potion, where they're going to get the magic mushroom and toss it into the pot of cauldron goodness. And they're going to try to talk to Merlin because he's not in Storybrooke for some reason, even though we freed him in Camelot. And who knows where Merlin is, actually. I have a very good idea about what happened to Merlin, especially now, with the end of that episode. But we're not really sure what happened to him for definite yet. And then we get Arthur to toss the mushroom into the cauldron. But then he has to be this dramatic little shit. And he's just like, maybe you should let me speak to him alone because he's only given me my prophecies when we're alone. I'm like, can we not with the dramatics, Arthur? Like, really? This really? And I thought that he was just going to pocket it and he's going to run off with the damn mushroom. But no, he decided to burn it because he's a shady hoe. And I'm like, you're not helping anybody do anything, Arthur. And I wonder how much Arthur knows. Like, yeah, he doesn't want certain people to contact Merlin. Yeah, he wants it to be a big secret here or there, but like, exactly what does Arthur know right now, with even though memory loss has occurred? That's my question. um, so I feel like he knows why Merlin's not in Storybrooke, basically, and I think I know why Merlin's not in Storybrooke, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Mm. Um, so we get back to Belle and Rumple in the shop. And I like that, again, I think this might have just been acting choice on Amy's part, on Emily's part, where a lot of it, when Rumple just kept insisting, he's like, I'm not a hero, I'm not a hero, I'm not a hero. I like that she just kind of rolled her eyes a couple of times, like, can we just not, like, let's skip the part where you deny it and get to the part where you just know that I'm right. I did appreciate that a little bit, because it does get a little bit aggravating after a while to just hear somebody say the same thing over and over again, as I'm sure you know, watching this. So I appreciated that she just kind of was like, can we just, okay? And then Merida bursts in and arrow through the door and trying to murder everybody. You know, Halloween was yesterday, guys. Maybe not so much with homages to The Shining would be pretty great. um, we jump back to the past again, and we get Merida's tragic backstory, where we find out that it's actually, she believes it's her fault that her father is dead. And I get that. It was, she tried to save him and she failed. So yeah, she's gonna pin a lot of that blame on herself. And Belle sympathizes with that obviously, because it is kind of, she felt for a long time that it was her fault that her mother died. So that was a good reason for, like, I like when they pair the character, like, if sometimes it seems a bit strange every once in a while, like, why did we pair these, like, the guest character with this main character in, but having these similar backgrounds is usually what pops up, and it usually turns out pretty interestingly, because Belle's just fun to stick with people and see what happens, because Belle is way more clever than a lot of other people, and it's fun to see what she does with all the guest characters. And I I just kind of was skimming through this part, because this is kind of the part of the episode where I was like, okay, I mean, these are interesting backstories, but also I want to know, like, plot. I would like some plot to happen. Um, um, so this is kind of where my snarky commentary came in. Belle and Rumple are in the car, so it's just like, all right, they're just making a choice to become trees, woo! And then Rumple's still giving his speeches about, I'm not a hero because blah blah blah, and I really liked that Belle was like, I know what she was doing, and I think she was hoping that it would work, and it did, thankfully, but I really just liked how she was just like, you know what, screw it, I'm leaving, bye. Because sometimes people need that. She gave him the hard no and walked away, and he needed that. He needed, like, the big incentive to just go with it, like, just go, just he just needed something, and she gave it to him, and I really appreciate that she stuck to her guns, was just like, I'm out of here, bye. So then he had to make a choice to become a tree or not become a tree, and he eventually didn't. But holy crap, when Belle runs into Merida again, and Merida takes the potion, that acting transformation choice, like, that was freaky. I really, like, it was good. The whole, like, like that, it was appropriately creepy, and just to prove how horrifying transfiguration, especially human transfiguration, can be. So, like, props, because, like, I was just like, whoa. um so then Merida became Berida, and yes, I made that joke on Tumblr, but you know what, I'm sticking to it, it's a good joke. um all right, so I'm gonna quickly scroll through comments, because I saw a whole bunch jumping in. Let me see, where have we, um, sorry, there's something in my eye and it's bothering me. Yeah, we're not okay. Back to the wand, and then Regina's entire obsession with Selena/Robin's baby reminds me too much of season 1 baby stealing Regina. Yeah, trying to kidnap children and trick like that goes back to what was the guy's name? Greg Mendel. Remember him? And she tried to adopt him. Is a little bit. I can see that. It can be a little bit creepy. And yeah, that's just kind of Regina's thing. She just is kind of the person who is like, these children are mine now, and I'm going to take care of them. And for better, for worse, she does take care of the children. So, you know, yeah. So there was no mention of why Emma needs Zelena to use the wand. Comments just jumped again. I think, yeah, Merida's whole becoming a bear is the only way to solve my problem / change my fate. It's really backwards. Good point, Katie. I think at that point she just, like, she's confident in her abilities, but I think she kind of was having the nervous flashbacks of like, well, I couldn't save my dad, so I don't think I'll be able to save my brothers in the same. Like, she's good when it's not coming to saving people. So I think she was just like, well, maybe I'll try this instead. So it was probably the fear talking, but I do agree that it was just like, didn't we realize last time how transforming people wasn't a good idea? So yeah, Arthur being sketchy. Well, yeah, the whole, since the point of Merida's movie is she controls her own fate. It was her. I think she was just doubting herself. So you can say that you can say that you control your own fate as much as possible. And I think she, like, by choosing to use magic, that is still controlling her fate. But she's like, you still lose faith in yourself, especially when something as horrifying as you not being able to do something results in the death of somebody you were very close to. Like, that's enough to shake up somebody's self-confidence. So I think she was just, it was a moment of doubt, and she did what she thought was best, which in the end, Belle was right. Always listen to Belle. I don't think Arthur is shadier than Blue, Delaney. It takes quite a bit of work to be shadier than the Blue Fairy, but he's definitely ranking up there pretty high. And yes, thank God, I did make a note at the end of the episode. Oh, thank God somebody realized Arthur's a shady hoe again. So I'm glad that everybody knows that Arthur's not great. No, Eleanor is not dead, because Emma said at the end of the episode that her brothers were with their mom. So I think just because Eleanor was not the queen, like, she was the queen, but she wasn't like in the she married into Denbrock. So she's like the queen regent, like Cersei Lannister. She's not the queen, she's the queen mother. So that's, I think, the same situation with Eleanor, because she's not in the direct line of descent. She just married into it. So yeah. Yeah, and I'm glad that Eleanor is not dead, because she is, like, I hope that we get to see her. And I think I saw something about the parents being cast, but I was like, well, if like, at first I was confused, because I was like, well, didn't we just say that they were dead? But I don't think Eleanor's dead. I think just the dad is dead. So, like, I hope so, because I really do love Eleanor and I really love her and Merida's relationship. So I'm hoping that we get to see a little bit more of that. Yeah, and the whole thing with like Brave and mother-daughter relationships, I think that's going to come back around, because again, with this show, and like I've said it 1,000 times before, like, the same-sex parent-child relationship tends to be like so much more difficult than the opposite-sex parent-child relationship. Like, Emma and David get along really great, and Emma and Mary Margaret have their on and off moments. And like, Rumple and Peter Pan, Malcolm, whatever you want to say, like, obviously they had a very rocky relationship. And Balefire / Neil and Rumple, they had a very rocky relationship, but until Mila ran off. She had a pretty good relationship with Neil. And like I'm sure there's going to be Papa Killian's dad drama that's going to come up because, again, bad same-sex parent-child relationships. So I'm hoping that comes in a little bit to play with Eleanor and Merida kind of paralleling with Emma and Mary Margaret. I would really like to see that happening, but we'll see. So, okay. Yeah, I was really I am kind of glad that they brought back Belle's mom dying in the Ogre Wars, because it did kind of feel like shoved in a little bit. Like, yeah, like that's an argument you can be made for a lot of the Frozen storyline, that like some things did feel kind of shoehorned in, particularly like this random episode where Belle had an adventure in Arendelle and doesn't remember it. Like, it kind of it felt a little bit like just jam it in there. We'll make it work. It kind of felt a little bit like that. So I am glad that we did bring it back up to be like, no, that's at a point. So yeah. Keeps jumping around. Well, we'll get to Merida's relationship with her mom, I'm sure, because again, there was some casting news about it. I didn't really pay too much attention to it. I saw a picture, but I don't even remember what they looked like. So yeah, that's my brain has. I've had a very busy week. I've had a very stressful week. So am just like, the fact that I remember that there was news at all says a lot. Yeah, no, you didn't really miss too much important stuff. So, and one's Merida has something in common. No, don't talk to me about how to Train Your Dragon. Just don't. That is the one. Like, there are very few children's movies that like watching them makes me weep profusely. But How to Train Your Dragon, first one and the second one, are like it. Like, I will just weep like a baby. Like I that and the episode of How I Met Your Mother with when they talk about the mother's backstory, like I'm just instant sobbing. Like, so don't talk to me about Merida and Hiccup and the relationship of that. Like, I don't do that. Yeah. Okay, so now that I'm caught up in comments, I'm gonna jump back up here to oh yeah, so Merida turned into Berida. And then we jump back to the past again, and she takes the potion, and it turns out that Belle swished it with water because Belle wants you to believe in yourself because she believes in you, so do your thing. And thankfully it works. Merida is facing up against these 3 other guys who were going to marry her in the movie, and then she didn't, and because they also were like, okay, well, I also don't want to get married right now. Apparently that's changed now. So she has some good shooting, and she defeats the hot, evil Scottish dudes, the other clansmen, by saving her brothers. So that's great. There's a big hug and everything, and Merida's all like, thank you for making me believe in myself, and she's kissing her brothers on the shoulders because they're all much taller than her, and it's kind of cute actually. So there's a big group hug. And then we go back to the past, or back to the present, and Bella's getting chased down by Berida, and Rumple comes in and he's throwing rocks. I think he threw a rock. I don't know for sure though, because I was looking at something else. He threw something and it distracted her, and Belle's like, what are you doing? Get out of here. And Rumple's like, I'm doing what you told me to do. So he's getting brave, and he is facing down Berida. I'm going to keep saying it because I think it's funny. So he gets a bear claw to the head, which, that's great for concussions and things. And then I kind of made this little funny joke to myself, how he got a bear claw to the head. And in Fanon, like we know that Emma likes donuts and she likes bear claws. So the Fanon is that like that's Emma's favorite donut. I'm not really sure if it is or not, or if it's just what Graham got her in season 1, and she's just like, okay, bear claws, great. So Emma loves bear claws, and no wonder she's using Merida, who has a potion that gets her to turn into a bear, to beat Rumple over the head with her bear claws. Okay, that's a really bad joke, and it's not funny, but I think it's funny, and that's what matters. So that's a tangent. Back off of the tangent. So we throw the pouch of important MacGuffin that I don't remember what he called it, but whatever it was going to stop them from losing the memories or turn into trees or whatever the town line does now. But it didn't need, he didn't need to do that, so he tossed it down Merida's throat, and that turned her back into a person, and she's kind of like unconscious on the forest floor. Great. And so we jump back to the past, and I like how Meredith's just sending Belle off on this rowboat. Not even like thinking about how to get Belle into the rowboat, to the rowboat to begin with, and then across the lock and to where the clansmen were meeting. She had her unconscious, so she's just like, here, get in this boat and go that way, and you'll get back to Camelot maybe someday. Like, give her a map or something, Merida, come on. Yeah, and that was not smart. Hopefully she gave some kind of locator tracking spell thing to Belle that she can use to get back to Camelot. Otherwise, Belle's just gonna be like rowing in circles around the lake. Cool. All right, so then we go to Granny's house, or Granny's diner in the middle of the forest. And I just realized that it's Apollo milk chocolate. Now they're really, really, really laying on thick the Greek mythology references. I'm not like, I'm for it because I do love Greek mythology. It's so crazy and it's so intricate, and I love it. It's fascinating. But I don't love what it could possibly mean for the characters. And I don't I'm having some sad feelings in my heart place. And yeah, so more Greek references with Apollo chocolate. So Emma then remembers that Merlin was in fact the usher who warned her at the movie theater when she was a small child to not take the sword. And we flash to the present day where that's not the case. Emma doesn't listen to the advice, and she's trying to get the sword out of the stone. And then she delivers a sick burn when Belle's just like, well, wait, what happens if he fails? And Emma's just like, well, you'll be sweeping his remains off the floor. You were his maid once. Ow. Like that. Ow. I'm really glad that there is this moment where, again, like Rumple's had some good moments this episode where he acknowledged the fact that like he didn't cripple himself to go back to Balefire. He didn't cripple himself to go back to Mila. He crippled himself because he was scared. And that right there is a hero moment where he's just like, listen, I sucked. I continue to suck. And this is why I'm not a great person. So he like acknowledging that, I'm just like, okay, now we're making steps forward. This is progress. Good things. Yay. I'm happy that this happened. And so then he gives a little speech to Belle about how he regrets everything and how he would do it differently all over again if he had another chance. And she's like, well, there's always another chance. And I think that that's what gives him enough strength and enough like glowing hope, heartness, whatever, to be able to pull the sword out of the stone. I thought for sure that it was just going to like he was going to be kind of half and half still, or like it would give him the moment like where he grabbed it and then he would be thrown backwards like Emma was. I didn't think it would kill him because we're not killing off Robert Carlyle. Like, why would we do that? But I definitely did think it would just like blast him backwards. But he pulled it out. We're gonna keep walking past that. He pulled it out. He pulled the sword out of the stone and did his job. So like yay, but also, oh no. Like, okay, now bad things are gonna happen. So Emma just kind of like ignores everything. Like Rumpel gives her the whole like, you made me a hero and that's a bad thing for you, because like he knows everything on her side now. So like I think he is gonna like he's gonna still kind of be a coward at some points, but I think at the same time like he's like a very valuable asset now, because he does know kind of her plans, and he knows like I was the Dark One. So if he's gonna be working with the Scooby Gang now, like we've got this guy who was the Dark One and kind of and was kidnapped by her and knows all of her bad tricks and whatnot, working with Captain Hook, who knows everything else about the Dark One. Like Emma's in trouble, basically. She's gotta make some hard decisions here pretty soon. We're almost done, and I'll get to comments. So the Scooby Gang's back in Regina's vault, and they're just like, but why didn't it work? I don't understand why this didn't work. And then Charming thankfully pulls the mushroom out of the fire pit, and he's like, well, he was trying to burn it. Blah, he betrayed us. He's a shady hoe. Ah. That's exactly how Josh Dallas sounds, by the way. That's my Josh Dallas impression. So they realize that he's up to no good, and thankfully magic mushrooms don't burn. Apparently the apprentice is dead, so Mickey Mouse is gone now. That's sad. I didn't realize that we actually killed him. I thought we just put him into a coma too, but you know, okay, he's dead. But thankfully we have somebody else handpicked by Merlin. We have the author. So Henry's coming in, and I'm really glad that Zelina's whole thing about you know, a parent betraying her child, it's that you're not going to come back from that. I'm glad that Henry recognizes that Emma and the Dark One are separate, just like Killian does, because her true loves know things and they believe in her and blah, 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 blah. However, I'm wondering just how much that's going to stick, because I think there will be some lingering resentment towards Emma. There's probably going to be some lingering resentment. Emma's not going to get off scot-free, which she shouldn't, because that was a pretty shitty thing to do. Just saying. So I think there might be some leftover feelings of resentment, which will be well deserved, and I think Emma will accept them as like, yeah, I deserve that. That I did a pretty bad thing to my kid. You know. So he's able to access Merlin's voicemail, is what I think they referred to it. But I actually was like, this is like in Star Wars A New Hope, when we press the button on R2-D2 and the hologram of Princess Leia appears. It's just like, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. Like, that's basically what happened when we're like talking to Merlin, and he's giving them a very vague warning about, okay, I don't know how to pronounce this. I heard it, and it took me a second to figure out who they were talking about. So is it Nemu? I think, because I've never pronounced it that way. I've only ever seen it written down. It's like how it took me forever to realize that Sean, S-E-A-N, is pronounced Sean. I thought it was just Scene for the longest time, and I was like, why would somebody name their kid Scene? But it's Sean. So I think, and I pronounced it Nimue or something, so I think it's Nemu. So we're trying to find her for reasons. And then Merlin gets cut off because he's being chased by the Dark One, whoever that Dark One may be. And then we get a pretty big zoom in on Killian going, what did Emma do? Cut to black. Okay, so that's the end of that. And I will get to comments because I saw a bunch of them popping in. Excuse me. No, don't talk about Stoic the Vast. Just stop. Just no, stop. Because I will, like, I saw that movie. That was the last movie I saw before I came home from Korea. And I was like weeping in the theater with one of my friends. And they're just like, why are you crying? And I'm just like, it's really sad, okay? There's like all these Korean children around me. And they're just like, oh, I don't understand what's happening. Yeah. So... Belle's like Kamina from Tengen from Gurren Lagann. Yeah, believe in the you who believe in the me who believes in you. Yeah, so like none of the dudes in the movie wanted to marry Merida, so like this whole thing just yeah, it was very confusing. Like I'm not really sure how that worked out, but I don't know. I think they just kind of were like, well, this needs to happen, and stuff and things. People change over 15 years, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, okay. So anti-transformation powder. So that canceled out Merida being going back to Merida. I never watched Lost, so and I know that like everybody who was in Lost has also been in once because Adam Eddy worked on Lost, but I've never watched Lost. So everybody who's like, it's a Once Upon a Time Lost parallel, and I'm just like, okay, because I've never like my roommate freshman year of college, she loved that show, and I watched maybe like 4 episodes, but I didn't like. I was like, so yeah. It just jumped again and I lost it. Okay, I know. Okay, so apparently the Apollo milk chocolates are reference to Lost. Again, I didn't watch Lost. So like you could say like a polar bear would show up in the show and once, and I would be like, oh, there's a polar bear, but it'd be like, it's a Lost reference, and I'd be like I know that there's a polar bear for some reason in Lost, and I don't know why, but I know there was one, and I would still be like, okay, polar bear, but then everybody would be like, it's a Lost reference, and I'd be like, okay. Like that's how far removed I am from it. And I know what happens at the end because everybody like there were 1,000 YouTube videos trying to explain the ending, and like I was subscribed to half of the people who were trying to explain it. And I watched it going like, why? Okay, sure, whatever. All that aside, oh my gosh, why did I blah blah blah? Perhaps Merida has become too reliant on those transportation rocks. She just assumes that Belle will end up where she needs to be somehow. Yeah, Belle's just going to be lost in the forest of Camelot. She'll get there somehow. I'm pretty sure she's probably memorized like enough foreign sky star maps to be like, okay, I can navigate my way back. Like, I think Belle's got this. Really, girl's capable. I think she can do it. So, yeah, the whole Greek and Roman mythology, it's all very contradicting at some points. So like it really just depends on the translation and like what you do with it. And not all of them are wrong. Like and it is interesting to see how people interpret them. Just like I really do enjoy like I really don't like the original idea of like take Persephone and Hades for instance, how it's like Persephone is Hades' prisoner wife, and she took the 6 seeds, and she's only released to her mother every 6 months, and otherwise she's a captive of Hades for the rest of the time. Like, I like the interpretation more that like she willingly took the 6 seeds because she wanted to be with this guy who was her husband. Like, I like there's the Underworld series by Meg Cabot. It's a 3-book series, which actually it's quite seasonal for this time of year because the books take place like around this time of year. So like it's I forget. I think it's the Underworld series, but it's like it's an interpretation of the Hades Persephone myth. So I like it when people take them and interpret them in new ways, or at least like takes it and kind of puts a twist on it because it does make it like so many of these old stories like they don't need to remain the same and they don't need to remain stagnant. And like that's what I don't get about people. Like yes, Hollywood right now is really overflowing with like this thing is nostalgic and we're going to reboot it because nostalgia money. Like yeah, and like the whole like we've rebooted Spider-Man how many times in the last 15 years. Like it gets a little oversaturated and there's so many people pushing for original stuff. And yes, I do agree that there needs to be original stuff, but like if you take old things that are good and you put new twists on them, it doesn't automatically make it bad because you're remaking something that's old. It just if it's done well, then like it's going to be interesting. So yeah, so like I'm open to this whole, and I'm thinking that that's where we're going to be going is this whole Greek mythology thing. And again, it makes my heart hurt because things and stuff. So I think it's going to be done at least interestingly. It's once, so it could be done well. It could not be done well. Like, it happens, you know, but I think we could at least play with it. And I think we'll at least get something interesting to work with. So like I'm more interested to see I'm very heavily involved in the fandom side of things. You guys know this. So like I enjoy what the show gives us and then seeing how I can expand upon it. Like that's my big thing is like, how can I take this and make it even better than what it already is? So just give me something to work with and I will work with it. That's basically all I ask for is give me something interesting to work with, and that's what I'll go with it. So there were 1,000 comments just poured in there while I was on my very weird rant about things. So were Hook, Merlin, and Charming concerned that Belle was gone? Good question. Probably, but you know, showcasing that is probably not high on the list of things for the episode to show because we had other things going on. Even though it would have made some things a little more interesting because there were points in this episode where it really did drag. For me personally, I know for a lot of other people it went fine, but personally it dragged a little bit for me. Yeah, so there's Dinah just said, completely here for the Greek mythology. I can't get mad at how they do it. I've read so many different depictions and I'm just excited for references. Yeah, so like there's so many different interpretations and all the translations are always different. So like we'll do something with it and it'll be interesting regardless. Whichever way it goes, it will provide good fodder for everything else. So yeah. Yeah, so the dynamics between Rumple and Hook now, I don't know. And I really want to know. So I'm hoping like the next couple episodes we explore that a little bit. Cause like they did have kind of like a half truce for like 2 episodes at the beginning of season 3. So I'm kind of hoping that we get something out of it. So yeah. Scrolling back down, I keep jumping. I see people saying hello. So hi. I'm reading through comments right now and replying. Let's see, what else do we have here? I think we're supposed to understand that the apprentice died because his arm fell down and the wand fell from it and everyone looks sad. Yeah, I guess so. I was kind of just hoping he fell unconscious, but Mickey Mouse was old, so he died. The Roman and Greek mythology tends to be fairly interchangeable anyway, so yeah, we'll see. Nimue. Okay, so I will rewatch that about 100 times, just like that section, until I start to fail to recognize that Nimue is an actual word. It will be like if you say the word bowl over and over again, you're just like, that's not, I'm just making noise. There's no meaning to this anymore. So I will do that and I will figure out how to pronounce her name because I'm bad at names, guys. I hope it doesn't take Henry too long to forgive Emma. He forgave Regina pretty fast, considering all the bad stuff she did. Of course, Regina never took his girlfriend's heart, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, he did, and like he's been mad at Emma before and kind of gotten over it-ish, mostly because he got kidnapped by Greg and Tamara. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I think I think it would be kind of cheap to not have any fallout from it. So I think there'll be like a little bit, but not, maybe he won't be like all hugs and rainbows and sunshine at first, but I think there'll just be like a little bit of like standoffishness. I think I'd be okay with just like that. So so many people are saying Nimue was the first Dark One. I'm just not sure if they go with the Arthurian legends where Nimue was Merlin's love. It's confusing. Merlin was mad at the Dark One for taking his love. If the Dark One was his love and his love was Nimue, how then she turned him into a tree? How did she end up no longer the Dark One? And excuse me, still be able to somehow help them save Emma. Excuse me. So I have this complicated theory. Like, I don't know maybe maybe if Nimue is like the first dark one, maybe Merlin wasn't entirely sure like what would happen when he harnessed the darkness and put it into this knife and like it embodied some person, because experimental magic, that happens. So I'm kind like, I have this theory that because if this is the case, so if Nimue was the first dark one, if she was his love and she was the first dark one, then like, okay, so like we know from Q&As on Twitter that the writers have said that a heart was crushed in order to cast this curse to send everybody back to Storybrooke, right? And if we can kind of assume that, like, in a very broad sense, in a very broad idea of it, the Dark One is kind of an avatar soul. And I know, like, I understand that's kind of problematic language. But like just like that's the easy way that I can explain it. Just like in Avatar: The Last Airbender, how they all like were the reincarnation of the same soul. So like Aang could talk to all the previous incarnations of himself to get advice, and that's kind of what Emma's been doing. Like she can speak to Rumple. Rumple is the Dark One. We saw. The Dark Boar, I don't remember that one's name either, but we've seen previous incarnations also appear. So in a very broad sense of the idea, that's kind of what the Dark One is, or at least the darkness embodied within the dagger. So if Nimue is also the first Dark One, we can assume that, as happened in Avatar: The Last Airbender, once or twice, the form of a previous avatar could overtake Aang's body, and like that was the appearance of them. So perhaps Nimue also did that with Emma, and she was able to rip out Merlin's heart and crush it, and that's how it cast the curse to get back to Storybrooke. It's a long shot. I'm fully prepared to be wrong. But that's like that's kind of the idea that I'm working on right now. I'm fully prepared to be absolutely 100% wrong about that. I'm here for it. I'm not, I whatever. But that's what I think is happening, because Merlin's not in Storybrooke. So where is he? And so my theory is he's dead. So, and I don't want him to be dead because I love Elliot Knight so much, but like people die on this show. So that's my personal theory right now. So if Nimue is the first Dark One, we could work on that, and we'll see. So I don't really know like what happened between them and all that. So, yeah. Also building on the Greek mythology theme, did anyone catch the line about, just jumped, man's first fire, possibly a reference to Prometheus? Probably. I'm pretty sure that's probably going to be what it is. If we have the eternal flame of first fire, like that's going to be the only thing that's strong enough to reforge the dagger and Excalibur. So, hello from Japan, or hello from the United States to Japan. So, okay. Hello. Hi. When I looked up Nimue, something unexpected came up, but it makes sense. Okay. Lay it on me. I know that was sent a minute ago, and it'll take you another minute to see that, get my response, but lay it on me. Let me see what's going on. And I'm caught up in comments. Huzzah. Even though I spent so much time talking other things. I'm gonna take a drink of water really quick while this refreshes. All right. Lady of the Lake. Is that an episode title? I know who the Lady of the Lake is. Like I know that. I know it's a big part of Arthurian legends. Strange women laying in ponds distributing swords is not a form of government, is not a way to establish a government. I know Lady of the Lake. But I don't know what would go on with that. So I feel like that's an episode title coming up, but I try to not look at episode titles. So I don't know if that's it or not. So excuse me. Sorry, scrolling through, looking through. There's a message, and I want to double check that it's not anything super important. No, it's not. Okay. No, I think there is the Lady of the Lake has a name, and it's not Nimue. I don't remember, and it's not Avalon. And I don't know why you want to say Avalon, but it's not. Lady of, I can Google this myself. I don't know why I haven't before. Lady of the Lake. Okay, so I'm getting like churches. Okay, I don't need nearby churches. Lady of the Lake. Let's just look at the Wikipedia. Okay, so yeah, very different. Oh, I'm thinking of Elaine. That's the one I'm thinking of. So yeah, she's had a lot of different names. Nimue is one of them. Also, Vivienne, Elaine, Ninian, Nivian. I'm waiting for one of these to be like a bottled water brand because that's kind of what I'm thinking of. Ninive, Evian, and other variations. So yeah, if we're gonna go on the Le Morte d'Arthur, Sir Thomas Malory's text, Nimue is I'm not gonna get this right. Like for next 1,000 times I'm gonna say it, I'm not gonna get it right. Nimue is one of 2 ladies of the lake. Mallory, why do you spell it differently? You spelled it N-I in one, and the rest of the time you spelled it N-Y-M-U-E. Mallory strives to disassociate Nimue, I told you, I'm not going to get it, from the general title of Lady of the Lake. This is due to the fact that Sir Balin kills one of the ladies of the lake, and if the woman that dies is Nimue, Mallory loses a key element to the plot of his tale. Mallory takes the time to mention that Nimue is the chief and most important lady. Throughout Mallory's tale, Nimue plays a pivotal role in Arthurian court. Without her, the Arthurian tale would not be as potent as it is. She does not conform to the stereotypes surrounding her role. Firstly, it's not her hand that juts out to the lake to hand Excalibur to Arthur. That hand, according to Mallory, belongs to the unidentified First Lady of the Lake. She serves the plot as a temptress, or she, instead of only serving the plot as a temptress, she becomes a recognizable force for good. Her character evolves from the dependent maiden to a woman who subtly takes charge in order to help and save the men around her. That sounds like a once character right there. She's married to Sir Peleus and outwardly acts as the obedient wife, while at the same time subtly helping sway the court in the right direction. When Mallory was looking at other texts to find inspiration for his characters, he chose the best aspects of all the other Lady of the Lake characters. He changed her into a compassionate, clever, and strong-willed, sympathetic character. She is a different kind of woman who does not shrink behind the male figures of her life. Instead, she is a pragmatic, unflappable, and knowledgeable. Again, that sounds like a once character right there. So if that's the case, I don't know. If we get a flashback, that might be the kind of character that we see. So, yeah. I just want to say that I cried 5 ever when Belle said that Rumple's made a lot of mistakes, but the choice to cripple himself wasn't one of them. Yeah, for her, for good or for bad, like he did it, and it changed things profoundly, and you know they found each other that way for it. So, oh, it was an episode title. When Charming had to go and face the siren, and it turned into Mary Margaret, or Snow White rather. Oh yeah, Lady Lake was already an episode title, so yeah. So okay, I don't think that they're gonna have her be the Lady of the Lake either. But we'll see. I'm not really, I don't know. So I don't think Blue's behind the mask either. Everybody wants Blue to be the bad guy here, and like I get it. She is a really great character to play with to be evil, but I just don't think until like the last 3 episodes like she's going to be revealed to be like evil, if that is her true purpose. So, but that's just me. So yeah. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I'm not really sure. I'll have to do some research on her and see what possibly they could go, like what directions they could go. They could go a lot of different directions, but honestly, I have no idea. I just read a lot of things. I'm going to drink water. So, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen next. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to keep saying I don't know because I don't. And I gave you all my theory about how Merlin's dead, and that's the only theory that I got right now. I haven't thought about anything else for a while. It's been a rough week, guys. I'm not feeling the greatest today, and I had a very long week, and thankfully most of the stressful things are over, but I have one more hugely stressful thing happening this week, and then I'm done doing things. What was I going to say? I was going to say something else. The Captain Swan dry spell ends next week, thank God, because I've been running out of things to blog on Tumblr. So thankfully we get a little something happening next week. That's all I need. I just need just a little bit. Just give me a little bit and I'll be fine. So, synchronized swim. Oh, did we take drink at the same time? Blue is shady. I don't necessarily want her to be evil, but I like her shadiness to be addressed before the series ends. Yeah, that'd be pretty nice. Just somebody call her out on her BS. That'd be great. They said she was the strongest power or something in the first season. I think she's just not using her magic. I think she's saving it because magic does work differently in our world than it did in the Enchanted Forest. So I think it's just she's just not using her magic the way that she could otherwise be doing it. So, all right. So I think if that's it, I don't have anything else to discuss. And like I've been saying, I don't really feel the best. So like if I'm going to give it another minute. And if you guys have anything else, please let me know. Comments. I'll discuss it. And then if not, then I can sign out because I'm tired and don't feel well. So what's up with that? They even said blue is stronger than the dark one. I don't know. I think it's probably some kind of balance of good and evil. Like there needs to be an equal force of good to an equal force of evil just to keep balance in the world. That's generally how they hand wave things away in, they always say like, we want to rid the world of darkness. Well, you kind of need it to balance out the light. It's unfortunate, but that's how the magical properties of magic work. Excuse me. So yeah. All right. If that's it, I'm gonna get going because stuff and things. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for joining me, even though we've had some very terrible connections tonight and me making weird faces and noises with my mouth sounds. I'm going to go. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I will see you next week. Hopefully we have better connection and hopefully we have quite a bit more to talk about because we've had some short episodes the last couple of weeks. So, all right. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will talk to you next week. Bye.